Hello. This video is about the history and philosophy of cooperative education, especially as it relates to the University of Cincinnati. First, let's discuss what experiential learning is. Experiential learning is an instructional approach that combines theoretical concepts with practical applications. It is based on the notion that students learn best when they can experience firsthand the real-world application of the ideas they are learning about in class. So why is this important? Well, there are lots of studies that talk about where learning happens. And this particular one from the Center for Creative Leadership found that 70% of all learning was derived from real-world experiences, as opposed to the 10% of learning that was gleaned through classroom teaching. And so experiential learning programs seek to capitalize on where learning is actually happening in those real-world experience settings. So the model of experiential learning that I like to use when working with students, especially on cooperative education programs, is David Kolb's model of experiential learning that he began writing about in 1984. Now, David Kolb is a professor of organizational behavior at Case Western Reserve University, and he defines experiential learning theory as a process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. The first part of the model is experience, where students explore real-world scenarios in ways that they can apply what they're learning in class into a concrete sort of experience. He called this a feeling dimension, where there was active participation by students. After that experience was through, students would reflect on that experience, and he called that a watching dimension, looking back on the experience and trying to interpret what was really going on and what they were really feeling about that experience. They would then take those reflective observations and they would enter into what he called abstract conceptualization, a thinking dimension, where you're asking yourselves, what did it all mean? How did I make sense of it all? How did this change or affect me? And he would use that knowledge gained from both the experience and your reflection, but also through your classroom reintegration, where you're taking the knowledge that you're getting from the classroom and can then reapply it in a real situation on a experiential learning program. And so in the fourth stage, which he called active experimentation, or the doing dimension, is where you're trying new things, you're altering your behavior, you're making changes for improvement based on the experiences that you've had, how you've reflected on it, and how you've thought through the abstract conceptualization of the concepts. And what he was trying to talk about was that all learning, as he referred, is relearning. And so this model is a staged model, but it's also secular. And so you will go through this experience several times throughout your educational career in hopes that you will be able to process and synthesize the experiences that you're having with the knowledge that you're gaining from the classroom. And so you take that knowledge, the beliefs and ideas about a topic, and you can examine them, test them, and integrate them with new, more refined ideas in the field in an ongoing sort of capacity. Well, the way I like to think about Kolb's model, as opposed to a secular model, is more of a linear sort of experience. And so when you think about the co-op program or any other sort of experiential learning program, you're thinking about how this experience can then lead to a reflection on what I experienced, how the concepts I'm learning within my courses affect that experience, and then reapplying new knowledge to those exact same experiences. And so experiential learning programs cover a wide range of activities. This one is particularly important, co-op, because that's what we are doing in the College of Engineering at the University of Cincinnati. But other experiential learning programs that are fairly common are internships or service learning programs, undergraduate research programs, study abroad is a significant experiential learning program, clinicals if you're in the health profession or nursing professions. You add that with that critical reflection, your coursework, and then your reintegration, reapplying that on the next co-op or next internship or that next educational experience. So taking experiential learning and looking and examining at the cooperative education program, where did that originate and how did we get to where we are today? Well, before we even can talk about the creation of co-op, or as it's known today, we want to go back and talk about what John Dewey, who was an American philosopher, a psychologist, and educational reformer, who said that there is an intimate and necessary relation between the processes of actual experience and education. You see, Dewey believed that learning was best when students were able to individually experience and interact with the concepts being taught, which sounds a whole lot like experiential learning. And so cooperative education takes that notion of individuals experiencing and interacting with the concepts that they're learning in the classroom and some sort of formal integration in a discipline-related work experience. Cooperative education is a work-integrated learning program, meaning that we use actual corporations, companies, where students will go and work full-time most of the time and get paid for the work that they're doing, that they can then experience real-world scenarios and then, of course, take what they're learning in the classroom and reapply it to those situations. It's designed to expand and enhance and enrich students' academic training. Cooperative education, or as co-op as it's known today, actually originated here at the University of Cincinnati. It was created by a gentleman named Herman Schneider, who was a professor of civil engineering and dean at the University of Cincinnati. The first co-op program he started, UC, was in 1906 in the College of Engineering. It was comprised of 27 students and who worked at 13 different companies. Their first wages in 1906 was between 8 and 10 cents an hour. Today, though, approximately 1,000 colleges and universities in 43 countries with 76,000 employers and 310,000 students participate annually in co-op partnerships, which is an amazing thing when you really consider that it all began right here at the University of Cincinnati. So let's briefly touch on policies and procedures. We already spoke about this in another video on co-op at University of Cincinnati, but I wanted to just make sure we highlight some of the significant components of a UC co-op program. At the University of Cincinnati, co-op is an alternating schedule program. In other words, students will attend classes one semester and then go to co-op for another semester and then return to classes on the semester after that, and they will continue alternating for a total of 5 co-ops in the College of Engineering until they graduate. The work that they're performing has to be related to the student's academic program. And so if you're a civil engineer, we would hope that the company that you work for is a company that works in civil engineering and that this person who is supervising you is also a civil engineer. Co-op programs at the University of Cincinnati are full-time, meaning 35 plus hours per week, and that positions have to be paid, and that is a pretty significant component of the co-op program. Unlike internships, which can be paid, but most often are not. A co-op is always paid. It doesn't matter how much you make, just that you are paid something. The employment period has to align with the co-op calendar, and at the University of Cincinnati, it's 13 weeks minimum. It can be 14 to 15 weeks in total, but it has to be at least 13. You have to receive appropriate supervision from someone ideally who is in the field that you are going into. Students will be formally evaluated, and here at the University of Cincinnati, we use our system called PAL to do that. And students participate in co-op year-round, meaning that there is no real break except for the semesters that they're going back to classes. And so students at the University of Cincinnati co-op every semester, including summers. A big component of co-op and experiential learning, of course, is reflective learning. And so during the actual co-op work term, students are registered for one of 5 co-op courses, each of which has unique learning outcomes. Those reflective learning opportunities come at the start of the term, middle of the term, and at the end of the term. And those are assignments that students need to complete, and they complete through PAL. The components of those assignments are learning objectives for that term, learning goals that the student has created for themselves, and then the student report, which is an overall evaluation. When the student returns from co-op and the semester that they're back in classes, they'll meet with their co-op faculty advisor to participate in a reflection. Some co-op faculty advisors will do this as a group, some will do it individually, and some will do a little bit of both. It enables us to assist you in integrating what you have learned on co-op with what you are learning in the classroom. Faculty within your programs that are discipline related will do a great job of also integrating that into the classroom when you return from co-op as well. And that is the history and philosophy of cooperative education at the University of Cincinnati.